I'm not here to poke holes in suspended disbelief.
Anyway, they see some weird shit. They decide to make a baby.
Thou merkin merchant.
Who gives a fuck?
Oh, I kind of just want to start calling you Damian Yells at school boards.
Well, you know, I really like it here. It's kind of nice, and it's not as cold as back home, and the soil is a lot better. So yeah, sure, I think we're gonna settle.
If I'm a peasant boy who grabs a sword out of a stone,
Yeah.
I'm able to open people up
Well, yeah.
anytime I hit them with it, right?
Yeah.
So my cleave landing will make me a cavalier.
Good day, sir. If Siskel thought it was empty-headed plebeian trash, he was probably really gonna groove on it.
Because cannibalism and murder. Pull back just a little bit and build walls to keep out the redheads. Authorial intent doesn't exist. Some people stand up to wipe their butts. Some people stay seated to wipe their butts. Like, it just... This is a Geek History of Time.
Where we connect nerdery to the real world. My name is Ed Blaylock. I'm a world history, well, actually now 6th grade history, so still world history, but history and English teacher here in Northern California. And as far as things going on, my son has now succeeded in making it almost all the way through 2 days wearing big boy underpants.
Nice.
He finally, this evening, right before bedtime, he had an accident. There is one caveat. This is going to the potty to do number one. Right after lunch, literally on the way from our downstairs to his bedroom, he crapped his pants. So we still have a ways to go, like all the way to go with bowel movements. But as far as urine goes, he's on track. We're very happy with that. And all it took was roughly 33 Hot Wheels cars.
Oh, okay.
Every time he tells us, Mommy, Daddy, I got to go potty, and then he goes potty, he gets a Hot Wheels car.
Nice.
Which was great, and it worked, like, because, you know, giving him a cookie and whatever, kind of ambivalent, you know, offering him chocolate, ambivalent, whatever. But a toy is a motivating factor. The problem is we've kind of created a monster, because for the last couple of nights, or for the last couple of mornings, he'd wake up, say, Daddy, I gotta go potty. Okay, we go in, he goes potty. Okay, great, you earned a car. And then 5 minutes later, Daddy, I gotta go potty. Like, okay, and we go in, and just a little bit, he'd go to the bathroom. All right, well, there's no quantitative requirements. Okay, right, you get another car. And I was complaining about this to my wife. I was like, he's gaming the system. And she said, no, if he's gaming the system, it means he's learning how to hold it. I said, okay, all right, okay, yeah. all right, this once, we'll let him game the system.
Because you're actually gaming him.
Yes. But yeah. So anyway, that's what I have going on. Welcome to Toddler Parenting, everybody in our audience who's not a parent. And for those of you who are ahead of me in the curve, you're welcome for that warm, fuzzy set of memories of your own kids going through this phase. Now, who are you?
Well, I'm Damian Harmony. I am a Latin and drama teacher up here in Northern California. And I will just say this. If you want to get out of having to spend your retirement on Hot Wheels for the next several weeks, ramp it up. So literally, like, find a hot ticket one, like take him to Target and tell him, here's the one, pick the one that you really want, and that's the milestone one. Oh, okay. And so then it's, okay, when you've gone this many days, you get this one. Okay. But then the cool thing is, like, after that, and then you're like, okay, now that you're a big boy and you got, this one, now it's gonna, be this many days, and you just stretch it out. Yeah. This is why food as a motivator is so much better. But different currency for different kids, man. Yeah. I remember very, very vividly. I will not say fondly. But I'm going to say that about most things having to do with children. I remember very vividly, not necessarily fondly, although I enjoyed at the time. So yeah, that's basically it for me. I don't really have anything as monumentous as that, except that my dog, my pug Skura, burped like a human. So that was just weird.
Anything else you want to say, Skura?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, he was just sitting there. He's just like, "Brr," and I was like, "Am I recording a podcast with Ed? What happened?" Like, so
Pardon me.
yeah. All right. So let's see. When last we talked, I discovered that this was a meditation on power and not
a myth.
Not a myth.
Yeah.
Such was Dune. And we may have uncovered why I'm attracted to very
Star Wars.
few things.
Yeah.
Because too many people are post-moral.
Or
for my
just
taste.
or just not interested in
Fair enough.
moral judgment.
Fair enough.
I think using a phrase like post-moral is more intellectual than I think Herbert deserves in regard to this, because he has a lot of very big ideas, but I don't think he's being very I'm trying to think I don't think he's being overly intellectual about those ideas. I think he's talking about big things, but he's not being self-conscious about how smart he is about them.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Saying something like post-moral makes it sound like, well, I'm
It's
beyond.
a choice that I've made.
It's a choice that I've made. I'm beyond all that. Like, no, it just doesn't occur to him. And kind of as an addendum to what we were talking about last time, I think part of that is that's the level of the genre and the level of the culture of science fiction at the time. There were people like Roddenberry, who was trying to make a conscious moral kind of decision, statement about these things. And Serling, who was like, he never saw an anvil he didn't love dropping, but I think
much fits with me.
And I think within much of the rest of science fiction, within mainstream science fiction, which Herbert was kind of expanding the intellectual horizons of mainstream SF, but his mindset was coming from a place of Asimov and Heinlein and those guys. And Heinlein occasionally moralizes, but his moralizing is like, it's wrong for a guy to hit a woman. Kind of more, very individual, not big, systemic kind of issues.
Sure.
Are not something that those guys were looking at through a moral lens.
Right.
And I think I want to include this addendum, because now what I want to talk about in this, our final episode, talking about Dune, the novel, is I want to talk about Dune's position and influence within the genre.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it is not an overstatement to say that Dune is a huge cultural touchstone. Even if, as we said back in the first episode, even if you haven't ever read the book, you get references to the spice. You get references to, the Kwisatz Haderach.
Sure.
You have heard some portion of the litany against fear. I will not fear. Fear is the mind killer. And usually, if you haven't read the book, that's probably all you know about the litany against fear.
Yeah.
Fear is the mind killer. It is the small death that brings total oblivion. I will face my fear. I will let it pass over me and through me. And with my inner eye, I will look back and see the place that is left, and all that will remain is me. Okay, there's more to it.
Sure.
And it's actually much more profound when you read the whole thing. It's actually a really good meditation on what your fear actually is and how fear actually works. But anyway, I'm getting off the subject. That part of that fragment of this book is something that people who probably couldn't tell you that the book was written by Frank Herbert.
Right.
They know that thing, even if they're not clear on where it came from. You know, and the internet, I think, has been a place where nerds who do know Dune have had this kind of playground to be able to share these in-jokes that in the nature of all things mimetic, those things have then taken on a life of their own and have
they've grown past their origin.
They've agglomerated their own meanings, and they've turned into something
they've gone
related
on so
but
long
different
that we don't even know from whence they came.
Yeah, nice. And like IR Dune Cat, you know, and all of the other, you know,
right, the infrared Dune Cat.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Sequel of or prequel of the UV.
The
Dune
UV
Cat.
Dune Cat. Yes. Yeah. And then that can only be stopped by the SPF Dune Cat.
Yes.
Yeah. So, but so Dune and the novels, to a lesser extent, the novels that came after it, is this huge touchstone. And I think part of that is because of the position it held within the evolution of holds, would be a better way to put that. The position it holds within the evolutionary record of the genre of science fiction.
Okay.
So, as I said in the last episode and earlier on, it is one of the first really major, essentially mainstream science fictional works that is soft science fiction, that is dealing with sociological issues, political ideas, is more focused on what the society around the main character looks like and how the main character achieves his goals via society and via his own potential being unlocked and his own expanding consciousness and whatever.
Right.
Rather than, I have invented a widget.
Right.
And my widget is now going to give me the power to do whatever.
Right.
You know, he's a social superhero, not a techno superhero. Kind of a clumsy kind of analogy, but that's the best one I can think of to describe it right now. And so it's important to note that at the same time that Herbert was developing Dune, very shortly before this, a few years before this, the very first of the Foundation novels got published by Isaac Asimov.
Okay.
And Foundation is another book that kind of doesn't have a moral argument to make about what it's saying.
Okay.
So you probably wouldn't get into it. But it is built on the idea of psychohistory. And the very beginning of Foundation is a bureaucrat winds up meeting up with an eminent historian who has come up with the school of thought of psychohistory. And basically this historian says, I have developed enough computing power and I've gathered enough data. And of course, because this was written in the early 60s, that means he's got, you know, a computer bank the size of a high-rise building.
Right.
And he says, you know, with the computing power that I have available, I am telling you today that the intergalactic empire we are living in right now only has another 50 years before it collapses.
Okay.
And here are the reasons. And he lists off these bizarre, random, you know, women's skirts have gotten this many centimeters below the knee. This like thing over here, it's like Freakonomics. Yeah. And essentially it is, he has all of this data and he's looking at the larger cycles of history And of course, everybody just completely poo-poos him, whatever. And they say, okay, yes, no, you're eminent and everything, and we respect you a whole lot. So here's the deal. Yes, you want this money to go continue building your experiment. Okay, great. And so he sets up this place out on the very edge of civilized space.
Mm-hmm.
And he knew they were going to turn him down because they always turn people down who prophesy that the empire is going to fall apart.
Right.
And what he's actually doing is he's building his own Library of Alexandria.
Okay. I was going to say, it sounds like he's setting up for an arc.
To hasten the rebuilding of the empire in another generation. And he records films of himself talking to whoever's going to take over from him a generation later and a generation after that and a generation after that. And it's like every 100 years.
Okay.
And so that was Asimov ruminating on big sociological issues and the idea of cycles in civilization, cycles in history, and all of that kind of stuff. And it's all, and it's this very important kind of groundbreaking stuff within the genre. What's funny is reading it now, it's incredibly dated because all of the scientists are men.
Right.
You hear them talking in a way that very clearly they're all from the mid-Atlantic states and they're all white guys, and so there are, it's very clearly a product of its time.
Okay.
But he's expanding what it is that we're doing with the genre of science fiction. Now Dune comes along, and what's interesting about the relationship between these two books or these two series is eventually in Foundation, my theory is that Asimov got bored, and eventually a hugely powerful psychic comes along. Who is able to read people's minds, and nothing could predict him. And so this incredibly powerful psychic winds up essentially being the shadow puppet of, sets himself up as a shadow puppet master who all of a sudden, Harry Seldon is the name of the psychohistorian. All of a sudden the folks back at Foundation listen to Harry Seldon's next film 50 years or 100 years, what it was after the last one. And Harry says, okay, so at this point you should be seeing this, and this are happening. And they're like, none of that's happened. Why hasn't any of that? Oh God, Harry was wrong. What are we going to do? And they figure out, some very smart people figure out, wait a minute.
Right.
There's a force acting on what's going on that Harry wasn't able to predict. And that figure within the books is referred to as the Mule.
Okay.
And commentators have said that Paul Muad'Dib is the Mule, and Dune is Herbert's response to Foundation.
Okay.
Where he says, no, I don't, whatever, psychohistory. Yeah. Okay, great. Yes, there's this psychic, gestalt. There is the consciousness, universal subconscious, whatever. Okay, great. Yes. And okay, with enough computing power, you could predict all of that. But what about this guy? I want to look at this guy. What does this guy look like? And so in a way, Dune is a response to this earlier idea. And I think in many ways, what that does is more interesting. And I think both of these, well, I don't think, I know, if you can just talk to anybody who has done any kind of scholarly study of the genre, both of these works are incredibly influential, are incredibly important to the development of the genre of science fiction. And in this funny way, they kind of stand in tension with each other. I don't necessarily want to say in opposition to each other, but in tension with each other.
Okay.
Because Dune, for all of everything that Herbert is saying about the mass subconscious and the Zeitgeist and the genetic will of humanity, it's still very, very, very powerfully individualistic. We're still focusing on the importance of the one man, the lone figure of Paul Muad'Dib, and then his son, God Emperor Leto Atreides, Leto II. And you know, and then how that shifts all of humanity's whole arc gets shifted by these powerful figures, whereas ultimately within the Foundation series, spoiler alert for a series of books that are 50 plus years old, eventually the mule gets found and defeated, and the course of human history is put back on the quote unquote correct upward arc, you know, toward, you know, greater prosperity, greater mental health, whatever you want to call it. And so there's this interesting kind of dichotomy between the two of them. And anytime you see an interstellar empire in science fiction, since either one of these two works, they are borrowing on tropes that were codified by these two works, in one way or another. They might be responding to, deconstructing, just running with, like, okay, no, I'm going to play with this. I'm going to steal this one and spin it in a different direction.
Sure.
You know, right up to very recent Hugo Award winning science fiction novels that have taken the colonialist and I'm going to say white supremacist, but only in the sense that the assumption was all of these people are going to be white people. And more modern authors have looked at them and said, no, I'm going to make a moral statement about it. And for the life of me right now, sadly, I'm completely blanking on the title and author name. But just in the last couple of years, with major science fiction awards, there's a wonderful, and I'm going to have to look it up and talk about it in a minute. But there's a wonderful series that makes very cogent, very pointed statements about imperialism, about colonialism, about individual rights, and about white supremacy.
Okay.
In which the interstellar empire is ruled by an empress who is a black woman. And one of the central issues is the armies that the conquering civilization use are humanoid drones who, you find out partway through the first book in the series, they are taken from the populations of subjugated worlds. Their personalities are wiped away, and the personality of essentially an artificial intelligence is imprinted on them. And so the author is talking about race and is talking about colonialism and is talking about conquest and is making very pointed moral statements about all of these things.
Now, what is the name of this work?
Is
this the one you've forgotten? Okay.
Yeah.
Because this, when do you know when about it was done?
4 or 5 years ago.
Oh, okay. So, because what you're talking about is an echo of Truce at Baccarat, the Star Wars book.
Yeah.
Which came out long before that. But it was essentially, you just described entrenchment. You described the Pewequics and the Bakurans and the Luex. And feel free, Geek Timers, to correct me on pronunciation of those names. But you just described the entire idea of entrenchment. With in Truce at Baccarat, it had a much more religious flair to it.
Okay, found it.
Oh yeah.
Found it. It is by Anne Leckie. The first novel is Ancillary Mercy. Okay. And from Wikipedia, I'm just going to read to this. I'm sorry, Ancillary Mercy is the last novel. Sorry, the first one is Ancillary Justice, published in 2013. The novel follows Breck, who is both the sole survivor of a starship destroyed by treachery and the vessel of that ship's artificial consciousness.
Okay.
So the ship is an artificial intelligence.
Right.
All of the troops that are carried by that ship carry the ship's consciousness, and they are wired in with one another, so they act as a gestalt. And what you find out partway through, spoiler alert, what you find out partway through the book is the bodies for that artificial intelligence are essentially enslaved.
Right.
They are conquered people who have had their humanity stripped from them and have been turned into
They are
robots.
now the vessels for.
Yes, and
yeah.
they are commanded by
Mm-hmm.
academy trained upper class officers
Naturally.
from the imperial power.
Right.
And in the imperial culture, just as a kind of a
Mm-hmm.
knife in the gut to, older science fiction stuff.
Sure.
Within that empire, darker skin color means higher caste.
Oh, okay.
As this kind of throwaway detail that pissed so many puppies off. Like, just like, why they gotta
Sure.
Also the fact that it was written by a woman, and like, why you gotta politics and science fiction. Like, have you read Dune? Like, let's look at politics in science fiction.
You read
He's
any
not
sci-fi?
Yeah, he's not making moral judgments, but he's saying shit about politics.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Star Trek much?
Yeah.
Ever?
Yeah.
Like,
Again,
anyway.
the whole idea of speculative fiction
Yeah.
is inherently political.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, for fuck's sake, I mentioned William Gibson on a completely different note in our last episode, but I got to say it here. Like, read William Gibson. We talked with Teo in our interview episodes with him. He and I got talking about cyberpunk.
Yeah.
Like, the whole genre of cyberpunk makes these huge statements about politics.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
And economics and
Yep.
class warfare or class consciousness, whatever you want to call it. Like, there are so very clearly the haves and have-nots. And like, Gibson himself has a great essay where he talks about science fiction writers as the court jesters of literature. That they get away with saying things nobody else can say because you're not supposed to take them seriously because it's just science fiction.
Right. It's that weird ghettoization of the genre.
Yeah. Well, that weird ghettoization, but at the same time, don't take them too seriously. It's just science fiction, but I'll actually know what they're saying is really powerful. We tell ourselves not to take it seriously, but at the same time, the jester is also a prophet. And they're not always a perfect prophet.
Right.
But they're showing us things about ourselves. They're bringing up things that we're not comfortable, talking about.
Right. And the only way we can countenance them or tolerate them is in this context.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So these two works up to Lecky and the ancillary series have reverberated throughout the entire genre of science fiction. And Star Wars. So Dune, desert planet, giant worms, nomadic people wandering in the desert. So we have Tatooine. Now Dune doesn't have multiple suns, but
so
whatever.
I mean, we tacked on another sun, so it's hotter.
Yeah. But desert planet, Tusken Raiders wandering the desert.
Right.
Old mystic.
Yep.
Living out in the desert,
Sarlacc
who leads the protagonist to an expansion of his consciousness and a growth beyond his original limits. Jedi's powers are basically psychic. I mean, there's not the same level of weird transhumanism there. It's like I'm telling a space opera story and I need Woogie Boogie. It's Woogie Boogie.
Yeah.
But still. And then in one of the very first clips that we see of the planet Tatooine, there is that skeleton, the rib cage and the spinal column of the crate dragon along the edges of the dunes, which looks very serpentine. Hi, how you doing? My name is Shai Hulud. I'm a sandworm. Like,
and then there's later on you have the tentacles from the Sarlacc pit.
Yeah.
So
yeah. And so just visually, obviously the influence is there. Then we meet Jabba the Hutt.
Right.
And he's basically a big fat worm.
Yes. Yeah.
With, fetishes.
Yeah.
Aplenty. So like it's very, very clear that there are that at the very least the visual vocabulary imprinted on Lucas's
Oh yeah, easily.
psyche.
I mean, Lucas was obviously, and people who listen to the show will know and will be typing furiously that Lucas was also influenced by Japanese movies.
Yeah.
Of course he was.
Yeah.
But also this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then from Star Wars, we get everything that's come since it that has involved desert planets and all of that visual all of that vocabulary, all of those tropes. Again, you're going to come to Star Wars, and from Star Wars, you're going to go back to Dune. The very idea of an intergalactic empire is something that I'm going to say Asimov and Herbert essentially gestated at roughly the same time.
Okay.
Previously, we see stories that take place in space, that take place on human colonies in the far future, whatever. But there isn't the same focus on how are we going to run an overarching interstellar civilization.
Right. It's more that it's an absolute thing that exists as background.
Yeah.
With some clever writing.
Yeah.
But not really much diving into the celestial bureaucracy.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah.
Nice. I like that. And so anything anybody's written about the power politics of an interstellar empire, they're going back to Dune.
Right.
If they're talking about the massive social changes taking place and all of that, then they might be going back to Foundation. And I'm sure friends of mine are going to say, well, they're all going back to Foundation.
Sure.
Whatever. They're also going back before they get to Foundation, they're going to Dune first.
Yeah. And I mean, I mentioned this before, but like the first movie, I love Riddick.
Yeah.
So the first movie, Pitch Black, is it's not Tatooine. It is a industrialized world. In some ways, they crashed on a planet that had no frickin' night.
Yeah.
Except for the moment where they did, hence it's called Pitch Black.
Yeah.
But like they immediately happen upon, maybe not immediately, but like prospectors. They've got prospectors with them. They happen upon like a science station or a prospecting station. You're not sure. It's not like you have moisture farmers. This is, who are living on, sand plantations, santations.
Nice.
Thank you. But you have that. In the second one, God, so terrible. Like, there were some good things in it, which is why I love the third movie the best, because it took all the things I loved about Pitch Black and the three things that I loved about the second movie and put them in the third one.
Yeah.
But in the second one, you have this intergalactic conquering empire. You have the, what are they called? The necromongers.
Yeah. And
you have that empire aspect of it. And then in the third one, you go back to a world of deprivation.
Yeah.
So just, like you said, there's so many things that are, I was just thinking the, what do you call it? That intergalactic empire. Like, what other things have we seen that have that? And that one comes into mind.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Of course. So it has this profound influence on genre since. It clearly impacted Star Wars very, very heavily.
Yeah.
And within, I want to talk in detail about its impact on gaming.
Oh, okay.
About on role playing and war gaming.
Sure. And
all of that kind of stuff, because the idea of the emperor of humanity and a star-spanning empire as a setting in a role-playing game, we see it like all the time.
Right.
We see it, I think, more often in science fiction games. Off the top of my head, I'm going to say we see this idea of an intergalactic civilization, intergalactic empire.
Yeah.
More often in a game context than we do in just like novels, because the scale of a novel is one thing. If you're going to create a role-playing game or a war game,
right,
you have to have an overarching story. You have to have an overarching world. So you've got to be thinking on a more macro scale.
Sure.
Kind of by necessity.
Sure.
And so Are you at all familiar with the game Traveler?
It has been brought up to me a couple times. That's about as
Okay.
far as I've gotten. I think I might have like thumbed through it, but I might be mixing it up with something else. Yeah.
So Traveler is kind of the granddaddy of science fiction role-playing games. Before Star Wars had an RPG, before there was Cyberpunk, before any of those, Traveler showed up. I'm trying to remember exactly what year, but it was late 70s.
Okay.
And Traveler was basically, okay, so create yourself a character. Everybody is part of, a crew on a starship. And it was immensely open-ended. Like, depending on what kind of game the game master wanted to run, you could be a bunch of mercenaries, you could be free traders, you could be pirate hunters, you could be just having a survival game on an alien planet. There was all kinds of stuff.
Sure.
Any number of things you could do. Well, as time went on, there was more and more detail kind of built out about, okay, if you're going to play in the setting that we're kind of using as our own background, here's what that setting looks like. And there was an intergalactic empire.
Okay.
And that intergalactic empire looked in very many ways a lot like Dune. There was an emperor.
Okay.
There was an imperial feudal system with imperial dukes and having territories that were referred to as marches and duchies and all this kind of thing. Now there was a really great kind of schism within humanity between Villani and Solomani. And there's this kind of backstory of sometime in our prehistory, a group of humans was plucked off of Earth by ancient aliens and deposited on another planet.
Okay.
And on that other planet, that group of humans were living amongst the ruins of a pre-human intergalactic empire that had fantastically god-level magical technology. But the problem was, so they were surrounded by all this technology, but when they messed with it, as often as not, it blew up. And so they were surrounded by all this technology, and so they had this massive leg up on humans still on Earth.
Sure.
But they became very hidebound and culturally incredibly conservative.
I was going to say,
because
there's a capping mechanism there.
Don't go fucking with that unless you're doing it exactly the right way. We have
right.
And food preparation. This was a wonderful detail that I want to say it was Mark Miller, the original writer of the game, that I hope, well, I don't know, whoever came up with it was brilliant. But on this other planet, we're from Earth. Our digestive systems are used to eating Earth animals and plants.
Right.
On this alien planet, everything has to be processed so humans could eat it. And so the people who learned how to cook became the upper caste. And so food preparation became this huge big deal. And so anyway, so the very first human interstellar empire was Villani. Well, they encountered the Solomani.
Okay.
And all of a sudden, both sides were like, wait, the fuck are you? Because Earth humans, the Solomani, had themselves independently come up with a way to travel faster than light. And then they got a hold of Villani tech, and Earth humans immediately went, we're going to reverse engineer the shit out of this. And we're going to make it better.
Right.
And so Earth humans, who didn't have the natural hidebound, whoa, conservatism of the Villani, eventually wound up running the empire. They overthrew the Villani, and a Solomani became the one in charge. And by the time of the game, there was just this kind of back and forth kind of rivalry between Solomani and Villani.
Right.
And jokes made about Villani beer being like awful.
Okay.
But there was this and there's a game explanation for this whole story being the case that I could get into, but it's quite long. Basically, it explained there was a board game that this whole conflict was originally the backstory for. And it explained why the one who is the Imperial player has to play a certain way.
Okay.
Whereas the one who is the space barbarian player can do all kinds of crazy shit.
Right.
That the Imperial player is like, no, I can't.
Right,
because if I don't do this right, it's going to blow up. I got to be,
Okay.
So anyway, and so Traveler, with its interstellar empire, was very much a response to these ideas out of Dune. It was we have this central empire. The Emperor is a massively powerful figure, and the player characters are so far removed from his sphere of existence that he's essentially a religious figure. Like they're not ever, they're going to be dealing with the bureaucrat at the planetary, shipyard level.
Right.
But the framework in which everything operates is taken straight out of Dune, with some ideas also thrown in from Foundation, in terms of kind of outlook on things and how everything works. Interestingly, Traveler is contemporaneous with Star Wars.
Okay.
Like it might be.
I think it came out
shortly. Traveler is I think shortly after.
Okay.
But it and the used future kind of aesthetic of Star Wars is clearly an influence on like what life is like as a player character in Traveler. But Traveler is much more hard science fiction. Traveler, you can play a Traveler game and have it be space opera-esque, but mechanically everything is no. Conservation of mass is a thing. Conservation of energy is a thing.
Okay.
Unless you play as a character from a specific place, you're not going to have psychic powers, and those psychic powers are going to be relatively minor. You're not going to be doing anything as flashy as the Jedi, and so it's much more contained.
Sure.
So that's Traveler.
Okay.
As running around in an interstellar empire. Now the other one that I need to talk about, because it's me, is Warhammer 40,000.
Okay.
And
I think it was our episode 3.
Yeah. And 40K would not look anything like it does without Dune.
Okay.
In the universe of Warhammer 40,000, first off, it's impossibly far in the future. Does that sound familiar?
Yeah.
And humanity venerates the God Emperor of humankind. Now, this was not an element in the original novel, so I'm kind of fudging things a little bit. But spoiler alert, Paul's son, Leto II, winds up becoming an even more powerful psychic than his father, and winds up essentially merging with a sandworm, becomes effectively immortal, and acts as the emperor of, and is the emperor of humanity for the next 1,000 years or more after he ascends the throne. And so he is the God Emperor. The title of the novel is God Emperor of Dune.
Okay.
And so this idea of the Emperor as not merely the Pontifex Maximus,
right,
but as not merely as the high priest, but as the deity,
right, the Godhead
himself,
is
directly taken straight out of Dune. Now there are other new wave science fiction and fantasy elements in there as well. There's some Michael Moorcock thrown in with the idea of the Emperor of Grand Britain being this figure who's essentially a shriveled husk, living in an amniotic bubble, which the Emperor of Mankind, of course, in Warhammer 40,000 may or may not be a corpse.
Yeah, I remember that.
Sustained on the throne for the last 10,000 years with the sacrifice of, 10,000 psychics a day.
Right.
everything. And just like in Dune, everything is over the top.
Right.
Everything is beyond operatic. And everything is post-moral. But in a way that, again, because 40K was being a response to Thatcherism, it's nobody is the good guy.
Yeah.
You know.
That's different than this is a meditation.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a satire. Damn it. I need more 40K fans on Facebook to remember it started out as satire, folks. And to their credit, a great many of them do still get it.
Right.
But not enough of them.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, that's my pet peeve there. But so, and then, the book itself, wound up becoming, it went mainstream at the same time, essentially the same time that Stranger in a Strange Land, which we've mentioned before when we talked about Heinlein, that got picked up by the counterculture. Dune got picked up in the same way as Lord of the Rings. And so these terms and these phrases, litany against fear, all of this kind of stuff percolated for years and years and years, kind of in the science fiction fandom subconscious.
It doesn't seem, you mentioned Lord of the Rings, and we've talked about Star Wars. Obviously, Star Wars is the definer or the codifier of mainstreaming a thing.
Yeah.
Partly because it's not actually sci-fi, but to the vulgar masses, it counts.
Yeah.
And you mentioned Lord of the Rings, which is clearly fantasy, and that has mainstreamed as well. And both of which were movies. Dune was also a movie.
Yep.
But what I'm noticing is that the spreading out, the percolating to the vulgar masses did not happen for Dune as it had happened for, like, it is a giant in this one genre.
Yeah.
Whereas it's not a genre spanner.
No, you're right.
So, and I wonder why. I keep going back to the, again, I'm not as sophisticated a consumer of sci-fi or fantasy as you. So could it be that the vulgar masses do need that moral component to it? Or could it be that Herbert is not doing the things in his book? Like, we never really talked about robots.
No, well, because there aren't any.
Right.
Thou shalt not create a machine in semblance of a human mind.
Right.
Which
is imagination capturing and might be the thing that bridges over.
That could be.
Yeah.
I think
because in Star Wars, you follow two robots to start the first 22 minutes of the movie.
Yeah.
They take you to the actual protagonist 22 minutes later.
Yeah.
I counted it. It's the first 22 out of 122. It's like a sixth of
the movie. Yeah.
Yeah, is devoid of your protagonist.
Yeah.
So
I
don't know. I think it's interesting to me. It had all this influence, but into things that were still, like, the things that it directly influenced still seem to stay within their lane. Whereas the things that people are like, oh yeah, I was looking at Kurosawa and Dune. I was looking at, like I was talking about Riddick. It didn't have mass crossover appeal either, but it takes Dune as one of its influences, not all of its influences. So I'm curious as to what happened there.
I think the issue is Star Wars is easily digestible. And the Lord of the Rings movies are easily digestible.
Yes, they are.
Before the movies, everybody had heard of the Lord of the Rings in kind of the same way that everybody had heard of Dune.
Okay.
Like, people knew, oh, The Hobbit. Yeah, that's that story about that guy kind of thing. Everybody had heard about Dune because everybody is, 1 or 2 degrees of separation away from a hardcore fantasy science fiction nerd, who, like, knew everything about it.
Right.
So, like, there was edge percolation into consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
People using the phrase grok in the counterculture in the
Right.
60s, Stranger in a Strange Land, kind of the same thing. Lord of the Rings had the advantage of getting a blockbuster series of movies that took what is, and I love Tolkien. You all know, everybody in the audience, you all know what a massive Tolkien fiend I am.
Right.
I do have to say this. It's not an easy read. Like,
Right.
so if you're a
It was
casual,
made digestible.
yeah, if you're a
Yes.
casual reader, reading The Lord of the Rings is going to be an undertaking. If you're,
Sure,
a
sure.
hardcore, massive nerd bookivore,
Uh-huh.
then like, no, it's going to be catnip. But for a
Right.
lot of people, it's not going to be accessible.
Sure.
Until it gets turned into a movie. And so lots of people now know who Legolas is.
Right,
Like,
right.
and there are whole genuses
Mm-hmm.
of memes built around Legolas is a pretty boy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, himbo Legolas.
Sure.
Dad bod Gimli, whatever.
Right,
They're,
right.
they're like these whole branches of meme evolution built around these things because of the movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it got made digestible. Dune got a movie made by David Lynch, who is a genius in his way,
Mm-hmm.
but is not a popcorn movie guy.
True.
And the Dune movie is phantasmagorical and operatic and dark.
It also suffers
And has,
from being very identifiable as an 80s movie.
It is also very dated.
Yes.
It is also, the Vangelis score alone is like,
Yeah.
we're done, but it is also, Lynch also had shit to say.
Right.
Lord of the Rings, like Tolkien expressly said, I didn't set out to tell a morality tale.
Right.
He told one in the end, but
Yeah,
he was telling a fairy story. It was
Yes.
a moral morality tale because it was a fairy story.
Right.
Star Wars is Buck Rogers. And
Yeah.
so Buck Rogers has there's a good guy and a bad guy,
Yep,
and that's
yep.
how that works. But it wasn't like Lucas sat down and said, I'm going to say something about the duality of man.
No, that accidentally
No,
slipped.
yeah.
Well, and I would.
So,
yeah. go
so
ahead.
Dune has suffered from its own self-involvement.
Yeah.
Because the Lynch movie is very self-involved and very
Yes.
self-indulgent. All of the dialogue in the book is incredibly self-involved
You're
and
right.
self-indulgent. And so I think that's more of what it is
Mm-hmm.
just it's so wrapped up in trying to say something with
Mm-hmm.
both of those S's being capitalized that it just isn't popular fiction.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does, because I'm thinking about Star Wars is, yes, they look like they're in the Bee Gees, but honestly, that kind of hairstyle can be attributed to long time in space and no space barbers. Like, it really
Yeah.
can.
Yeah.
There are certain aspects of it that are like, oh, okay, everybody had really long sideburns. It's clearly a 70s movie, but at the same time, it is timeless. Some of that has to do with the music, too. And Lord of the Rings, the movies were made by somebody who was specifically going to be loyal to the source material, and in spirit, if not in letter.
Yeah.
And I think both of them, therefore, were John Ford movies without being John Ford movies.
Oh yeah.
Whereas the Dune movie, that was very clearly a David Lynch movie. So I think you're right.
Yeah.
You're right. So it doesn't have that vast appeal.
Yeah. There's a very clear thumbprint
Yes.
on every aspect
Yes.
of both the novel's DNA and then there's multiple thumbprints on the movie's DNA.
Yes.
And yeah, so
Okay.
I'm really excited. This is where I'm going to start fanboying out. I am
Okay.
really, really excited, having seen what I think are going to be the last trailers we're going to see before the actual release of the film.
Uh-huh.
The new Dune movie has me. I am so hyped.
Okay.
I am so excited because I think, fingers crossed, I think with the names who were involved who are going to be on the cast, with the fact that all of the dialogue in the trailer looks like they went through the novel and said, okay, no, seriously, write this like you can actually say it. And I hope that the Dune movie might manage to make the actual story of the book something that is more widely known.
Right.
I mean, it's never going to be Star Wars. It's never going to be Lord of the Rings, but it might be Game of Thrones.
Right.
Like,
right.
you know, which also, by the way, Game of Thrones, we can see some influences within the genre from Dune.
Sure.
Like dynastic struggle, the conflicts of nobility, the meditations on power. Also, I mean, it's a fantasy, straight up fantasy, as opposed to being cloaked as a planetary romance. But, I don't think George R.R. Martin would have had the confidence to write an epic, sweeping fantasy story like A Song of Ice and Fire if there hadn't been Dune as one of its precursors.
Okay. Yeah.
So that's the hill I'm going to die on in regard to that particular relationship. There you go. Those of you who are George R.R. Martin fans, anybody who wants to, tell George R.R. Martin on Twitter that I said this, fine.
I didn't know
Please.
he was on Twitter.
I would actually be really happy to have him come at me, because that would give me so much more clout. Like, I cannot begin to tell you. And I would just fanboy like immediately. So it wouldn't even really be I'd crumple. Okay. Anyway. So, and I don't think I'm saying anything that controversial anyway, but there we go.
Right.
So it has this remarkable position as being this cultural touchstone that has been amazingly influential and amazingly important within the evolution of the genre. But it's still, like you said, never turned into something that is broadly known. In the same way that other things that came after it are.
It seems to me to be the bizarro version of Avatar.
Okay.
Avatar, until the Avengers Endgame decided to stay out longer, specifically to break the record.
Yeah.
Avatar was the highest grossing film of all time.
Ever.
That means everybody went to fucking see it.
Yeah. And a lot of people went to see it multiple times.
And nobody really remembers it. It's thoroughly unrememberable.
Oh, yeah.
It's unremarkable.
Visually.
Yeah, it's stunning.
And nobody cares.
And nobody cares. Yeah. Like, I mean, visually, it is amazing, but people remember Star Wars more.
Yeah. Narratively, it's kind of empty.
Narrative, I mean, I already
It's a himbo movie.
I was going to say, I already saw Dances with Wolves. I already saw The Last Samurai. I already saw white people make the best whatevers.
Yeah.
I already saw that. And this just had some ableism thrown in on top of it.
How? The truth, it stings.
Yeah. But, but that movie was seen by everyone and has been since forgotten.
Yeah.
This book,
it had the staying power of a soap bubble.
Yeah, it really did. A beautiful, fantastic soap bubble with a tremendous cast. It opened our eyes to the idea that Zoe Saldana can be on screen, so long as she's not actually black. Everybody will like her, which is really weird to me because she was a fantastic Uhura.
Yeah.
But that seems to be. Like, she's either Gamora or she's a Na'vi, like, and people like actually got a syndrome based on Avatar. I don't know if you know about this. People got depressed because they went and saw Avatar and were upset that this world isn't the Avatar world. And it became a depression, a type of depression.
Really?
Yes. And yet nobody remembers this movie.
Yeah.
Right? It's just not memorable. It doesn't stick.
It was, you know what?
Yeah.
Okay. It was the cinematic equivalent of a prog rock album cover.
Yeah.
You know, I wish I could remember the name of the artist, but you know,
Sure.
literally floating islands and you know, huge sweeping vistas.
Yeah,
and,
he
and
did
super
stuff for
saturated.
Boston.
Yeah, super saturated
Yeah.
colors and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it was called Avatar Depression Syndrome, by the way.
Wow.
And it was it was this whole thing back in 2010.
Crazy.
It was nuts.
And the Depression Syndrome only lasted, you know, for that long.
Yeah.
Because nobody remembers the movie that long.
So it's just it's wild how immensely popular it was, and yet it is Teflon, right? Whereas Dune, well, I don't like sand. It gets everywhere.
Yeah.
But I mean, Dune is you can trace back everything to Dune in some respect or another when it comes to this genre, and
it's
some
influence.
tremendously influential, and everybody remembers it, but nobody has read it.
Yeah.
You know, and whereas this other
Foundation
one,
is the same way.
Yeah. So
like I was in my late 30s before I finally read Foundation.
Okay.
And I had, you know, all of my literary SF friends were like, you know, no, this is critically important. This is
Right.
You know,
it's foundational.
You know, it's foundational. Yeah, literally. You know, and it just took me forever to read it because I felt like it was going to be like eating my vegetables. And I think for some science fiction fans, Dune is the same way because, you know, it's been commented on in other forms by other authors doing other stuff with the tropes. And it's like, well, okay, all right, I gotta go back and eat the broccoli kind of thing. You know, I know one of my friends just recently read it for the first time and was both very amused and I think pleasantly surprised by the fact that he could look at it and go, "Oh, okay, this is a planetary romance. This is a 60s space opera novel. Oh, okay, I don't know what I was afraid of." Right. Like, you know, and by the way, oh my God, this dialogue is clunky. Like, well, yeah, there's a lot of exposition going on here, but you know, but it was kind of this revelation of, oh, okay, I thought this was going to be like going back and trying to read Nietzsche directly, like, you know, try to, you know, Foucault, you know, trying to, and no, it's a planetary romance. He's talking about big stuff, but that's what it is. It's a planetary romance. It's just a very important one because of when it happened and what has happened since. Right. So yeah. So there we go. That is my commentary on Dune, the novel. On another occasion, after multiple episodes have passed, maybe after I've had the chance to actually see the new movie, we can talk about the David Lynch movie, and we can talk about the miniseries version from Sci-Fi Channel, which I actually think was a better adaptation of the book.
Everybody says that
Lynch.
about both that and the one for The Shining. Yeah. The miniseries for The Shining was also a better adaptation. Yeah. Again, Kubrick put his thumb on it.
Oh yeah. Oh.
You know, so when you when you have a seminal
auteur.
Yeah.
When you have an auteur.
Yeah, that wrecks the transfer of media from book to movie, it seems. The one time I would say it doesn't do that is Princess Bride. Yeah. Although I would say that Rob Reiner is not really an auteur either. Like, no. He's a phenomenal director who's directed very different movies. Yeah, I think but he has there's a certain touch that you can be like, okay, well, it's clearly a Rob Reiner movie, but he does he bounces around between paradigms. I think
very effectively.
He and Ron
Howard?
Yes. Yeah. I was gonna say Ron Williams, but that wasn't right. But he and Ron Howard both
Andy Williams. Ron Howard was OP. No,
No, you're
I'm
thinking
thinking
Andy Griffith.
Andy Griffith.
Williams played Potsy.
Played Potsy. There you go.
Yeah. Wow.
Anyway.
Yeah, Andy Williams got blamed for shooting JFK.
No.
Yeah, he played the Potsy.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
oddly, I'm not mad about that.
no,
one.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
okay.
yeah. And it was because he couldn't keep his mouth shut. Ralph Mouth.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
one.
okay.
That one.
Hey.
Good day. Good day, sir.
So anyway, Ron
Howard.
I'm not going to get his name for some reason.
Okay.
Which is weird because you've talked about another author named Howard.
Yeah.
But Ron the Duck and and Rob Reiner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're both
just good directors.
Yeah.
Like they can take anything and
Yeah.
make it good. And I would put them. I would say they have a point of view, but they subsume it to what the movie needs.
Yeah.
But they still have a style.
Yeah.
Whereas John Ford, he was a good director. He's the studio director though.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And these guys aren't studio directors. These are known directors. If you want a certain thing, you go to them.
Yeah.
And I think those two could easily do that switch.
Yeah.
That auteurs clearly cannot.
Yeah. David
So,
Lynch and the other one you were talking about.
Oh, Stanley Kubrick.
Stanley Kubrick.
Yeah, yeah.
Just
who discovered Dr. Livingston
Nice.
down by the Nile.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's for another episode, but just Stanley was a messed up individual.
Stanley Kubrick or
No.
Henry Morton Stanley?
Well, Henry Morton Stanley.
Oh, very much so.
Like,
oh my
wow.
God. Yeah.
Yeah.
You might be able to relate that to the movie Barry Lyndon, but I'm going to let you do that because
Okay.
I fucking hate that movie.
All right.
So,
all right. At
but
some point.
I also don't hate you, so I'm not going to assign that either. So,
But yeah. so I think Dune suffers in the popular imagination or suffers in representation
yes.
in the popular imagination because of the fact that it was this big important book saying these big important things, and so nobody ever looked at it as something to make a mainstream science fiction, we're going to get people to put their butts in seats and buy popcorn movie. The effort by Jodorowsky to do it never got off the ground. Had some amazing pre-concept art developed for it. Had some wonderful. I mean, there's a whole documentary about Jodorowsky's Dune.
Wow.
A production that never went anywhere. There was so much preparation, so much work that went into it. I want to say H.R. Giger was involved as one of the visual designers. But again, with Jodorowsky, we're talking about an art house director with very specific kinds of aesthetic and cinematic kind of ideas. And he never got anywhere with it. Lynch took it and was like, oh yeah, no. I see themes here and I can do things with this. And Lynch is Lynch, like we said.
Right.
And instead of getting picked up by a studio and having the studio go to, hey, we got this young guy out of USC film school, you do something with this.
Right.
Like if that had happened with Dune, we might have gotten a movie out of it that would not have been what we got. and it would be it would take up a more central position within popular culture. But as it stands, it has been this thing percolating. I love that verb for this that you used originally. Percolating in the background, influencing all of these other things that have then gone on to become huge. And for people who have read the book and who love the book and who are, fans of that universe, it holds this very powerful emotional resonance that leads them to then continue circulating the memes and doing all of those things.
Right.
That then drive what presence it has in the rest of the popular consciousness. So
yeah,
Now that we've gotten all the way through all of that
Mm-hmm.
and come staggering,
Out of the desert.
out of the desert,
Yeah.
out of rhythm, shuffling,
Mm-hmm.
with our still suits awry. What do you think? What do you take away from all this?
Oh, well, I think the last 20 minutes or so has been a large part of that. It's just that, Dune very much didn't cross over genres for the reasons that we stated. And yet it influenced everything that did cross over genres for the reasons that we stated.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that I have anything new to add to it. I think you've handled it quite well and taken us to chat on a wild ride. I'm gonna miss teaching Latin for that reason.
Yeah.
Like, I will always be like, I'll deal with past tense verbs and stuff like that, and then every once in a while I'll just run into one where I don't remember it, and I thrive. He thrived, he throve, thrave, thrab, shat. And I just always say that, and the kids are, what? It's so much fun.
Yeah, wake up.
Yeah. Or I'll do that with like plural of any animal, like
Yeah.
and because kids will ask me, is it fish or fishes? I'm like, well, it depends. You have multiple species, then it's fishes. If it's just one type, then it's fish. What about deer? Oh no, that's just sheep. What? So, but yeah, no, I think you've done a fine job there, and I'm glad to be done with Dune.
Yeah.
But I think
Are you as glad to be done with Dune as you were to be done with Batman?
no.
Okay.
No, just because I've been passive this whole time.
Okay.
Whereas with Batman was like, okay, five episodes of me being passive, which is a lot.
Yeah.
But it needed to happen, and then 5 episodes of me digging into like fake memory cults murder shit, and it was just, oh my god, it was whew. And then digging into like the war on terror.
Yeah.
Like that was depressing as fuck. So no, nothing has been as harrowing
grueling.
as that. Yeah.
Okay.
But you're welcome.
Yeah.
So cool. Well, now that you've done this magnum opus,
Yeah.
on Dune, I guess the only thing left to do is to discuss the knife fight scene and how it perfectly mirrors the I Quit match between Randy Orton and John Cena back in No? Okay.
No.
Fine.
Yeah. No.
that's
Wait.
fine.
No. Okay. No. Everybody. No. I want the truth on record here. No. He started saying that, and he's acting like he's getting a look from me like, oh fuck no. No. The look he's getting from me is no. Wait. What? Dude. Wait.
There's an I Quit match between
Okay.
John Cena and Randy Orton, and I just love watching the two of them go at it. They're both men in their prime, but it's John Cena at one point. I mean, it's basically you got to beat the guy until he says I quit, right?
Yeah.
And at one point, because it's wrestling, Randy Orton gets out a pair of handcuffs and chains John Cena to the post and is beating him in the stomach with a kendo stick.
Oh shit.
No, it's like rattan,
Okay. Yeah. But still.
and you just see the welts showing up on his.
God.
And John Cena doesn't quit, and so just like, and how's he gonna get out of this one and stuff like that, and it's really cool. So I don't think it's necessarily tied to the knife fight that we see between Paul and
Phaedra.
But I do think it would be similar to the needle in the neck in your hand.
Oh,
in
the
box.
Gom Jabbar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
there is definitely a Gom Jabbar quality to. No, I'm not going to say. I'm not going to say.
Honestly, that one is much more tied to the Rock versus Mankind I Quit match from the Royal Rumble, where the Rock hits him, I think 12, 13 times over the head with a steel chair, while his hands are chained behind him.
Jeez.
Supposed to only have been 5, and the Rock went crazy.
Okay.
Oh, it's bad. Yeah, but either way, that's all I have to add.
Okay.
Which is nothing. So sorry for the last minute and a half. So
Whatever.
Where can people find you on the social medias?
I can be found, as always, at EH Blaylock on the Twitter machine. I can be found at Mr. Blaylock on TikTok, and EH Blaylock again on Instagram. Now, where can you be found?
Oh, you can find me at Duh Harmony on the Twitter and the Insta. You can also find me every Tuesday night at 8:30 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time on twitch.tv/Capital Puns. So now that you've taken us through Dune, all the way through, do you have any book or movie recommendations?
I do.
Aren't Dune?
I do.
Okay.
I very, very highly recommend the Ancillary series by Ann Leckie, which I mentioned as being a response to Dune, a very moral, very consciously anti-colonial, anti-imperialist, feminist, anti-racist novel in response to Dune. The novels are Ancillary Justice, Ancillary Sword, and Ancillary Mercy. It's referred to as the Imperial Radch, Radch. I've never figured out how to pronounce that properly. And it's very, very powerful, and it says things. It is, as I said, it is inherently and openly political, but it is also a really great adventure story, and kind of part mystery novel.
Nice.
And so I very, very highly recommend the series. Please go out. And Leckie deserves all of the royalties she can get for it, because they're amazing books.
Cool.
So again, Ancillary Justice is the first one by Ann Leckie.
All right.
How about you?
Well, there's a book by Michael Mann, Mann. He's a sociology professor at UCLA, but also has professorial rights basically in Belfast. And he wrote a book called Fascists. And it's a little bit old, quite honestly. I
2005?
believe. Yeah.
I flipped through it earlier, and I wanted to see.
Because it's... If you want to see... It was 2004, I think. But this print might be 2005. If you want to see a really good... I've got a couple really good books on the growth of fascism, all of which were written prior to 2010.
Yeah.
Which is, if you look at scholars, they have been saying essentially since people started going apeshit over Obamacare, that's when they said, "Oh, America's going Nazi, y'all." Like, they said it as far back as that, because they were looking at those responses and the way that the responses were lining up.
Yeah.
The rhetoric being used, and the othering that was happening. But I really recommend this book, Fascists by Michael Mann. It's really good. It goes essentially region by region. So it's both chronological and regional. And so it gets you from Italy, essentially, through Germany, Austria, Hungary, Romania, Spain.
Okay.
So which I really think that's valuable to take a look at, because you see where it grows up in different places with different cultures. So that's the one I would recommend. And probably next week I'll have a different book on fascism to recommend, just because this has kind of twigged my brain, and there's a few books on it that are really good. So yeah, one of them is called The Dark Continent, and it's not about European colonialism in Africa. It's actually about fascism in Europe.
Oh wow.
So yeah. But anyway, that would be my recommendation for a book. And then the only other one I would recommend would be Truce at Baccarat. After you've read your Ancillary series, read Truce at Baccarat and see if there's not an echo.
Okay.
And Truce at Baccarat is a Star Wars book. I don't remember the author, because I never remember authors, quite honestly. But I'm looking at it. I think it's Kathy Tyers. No. Yeah, it's Kathy Tyers.
Okay.
Cool. Okay. All right. Well, for a Geek History of Time. Oh, wait. Do they know where to find us collectively?
Oh, yeah, no, collectively, the two of us together can be found on Twitter at Geek History Time. And our website, of course, is www.geekhistorytime.com. So that's where they can find the two of us if you want to collectively excoriate us for an error, or even better, praise us for bringing up something cogent and meaningful. Then that's where we can be found. And please give us a rating. Give us the 5 stars we've earned. and subscribe. So next time you want to get a deep dive into the connection of wrestling to European post-war economic theory, you know where to look. So please subscribe, give us a 5-star rating.
Coming down the aisle, the coal and steel union.
Yeah.
Yep. Rate, subscribe, review, Stitcher, Spotify, and the iTunes store. So
there we go.
There you go. Well, for Geek History of Time, I'm Damian Harmony.
And I'm Ed Blaylock. And until next time, remember, fear is the mind killer.